Good evening to all. Good evening to all. So in the last session of time, speed, distance, we have covered questions based on the formula distance is equal to speed into time. We have done total 11 questions where we have discussed how we can solve question through equation, how we can solve the question through ratios. Today, we will be discussing three things. One is average speed, relative speed, and boat end speed. So, first of all, when I say average speed, what is average speed? You've already studied this formula, distance is equal to speed into time. So, if I solve speed from this formula, I will get speed as distance upon time. So, average speed is total distance upon total time. Suppose if I say a person goes from A to B, then he goes from B to C, and then he goes from C to D. If the distance from A to B is 100 kilometers, B to C is 80 kilometers, and C to D is suppose 45 kilometers. Suppose this distance from C to D is 45 kilometers. Now, if I say the time taken from A to B is 2 hours, the time taken from B to C is 3 hours, and the time taken from C to D is 4 hours. The question is find the average speed. Tell me what would be the average speed. What is the average speed? Average speed is total distance 100 plus 80 plus 45. That is 225 upon total time. That is 9 hours. If you solve this, you will get 25 km per hour. 25 km per hour. So this is the average speed. Is it clear to all? So average speed is total distance upon total time. Is it okay to all? Now, all of you just read this question and try to do this. And this question, what is given? 1/3 of a certain journey is covered at the rate of 25 km per hour. So 1/3 of the journey, whatever be the distance, 1/3 of that distance is covered at a speed of 25 km per hour. 1/4 of the distance is covered at 30 km per hour. And the remaining distance is covered at 50 km per hour. Now the question is, what is the average speed of the entire journey? Now, when you get this kind of a question, one approach is you can assume the distance to be d and form equations, or you can assume some value of distance. How to assume the value of distance? Please see. Now, if I have to assume distance, what I will do? Here it is 1/3, so denominator is 3. Here denominator is 4. What is LCM of 3 and 4? That is 2. What is the LCM of 25, 30 and 50? That is 150. If you want to assume some distance, the best value is 12 into 150. That is 1800 kilometers. So if you want to assume distance, assume total distance as 1800 kilometers. If the total distance is 1800 kilometers, then I can say that 1/3 of 1800 is 600 kilometers. 1/4 of 1800 is 450 kilometers. And the remaining distance, total is 1800. This is 600 plus 450, 1050. So what is left? 750 kilometers. Now, if a person travels 600 kilometers at a speed of 25 kilometers per hour, time taken would be distance upon speed. That is 24 hours. If he covers 450 kilometers at a speed of 30 kilometers per hour, time taken would be 15 hours. If he covers 750 kilometers at 50 kilometers per hour, time taken would be 15 hours. So total time taken is 54 hours. Total time taken is 54 hours. And the total distance covered is 1800 kilometers. Now we have to find the average speed of the entire journey. We have to find the average speed of the entire journey. That is total distance upon total time. Cancel by 80. This is 3. This is 100. So 100 by 3 is what? 33 1 by 3 kilometer per hour. 33 1 by 3 kilometer per hour. So average speed is 33 1 by 3 kilometer per hour. Is it clear to all? Any doubt to anyone in this part? So average speed is total distance upon total time. यहाँ पर हमें distance given नहीं था, बोला गया 1/3 distance, 1/4 distance, remaining distance. Speed 25, 30, 50. I have assumed distance to be LCM of 3 and 4 is 12. LCM of 25, 30 and 50 is 1. So I have assumed distance to be 12 into 150. That is 1800 kilometers. If a person cover 1800 kilometers, One third distance would be 600, one fourth would be 450, remaining would be 750. So I've calculated the time. Now total distance upon total time is this. So average speed is 33 1 by 3 kilometer per hour. Now, please tell me the answer for this question. Now, if I say some part of the journey is covered at 40 km per hour and some part of the journey is covered at 60 km per hour. Find the average speed of the journey. Find the average speed of the journey. Now, in this question, it is given some part of the journey. What part of the journey is not given? So, if we don't know about what part of the journey, so how I can calculate average speed? Answer for this would be can't be determined. We can't calculate average speed because they have not told you about that part of the journey. Okay, answer is can't be determined. Now, they should tell you about the part of the journey, then only you can solve. Suppose if I take this first part. Now let the journey is divided into two parts, part 1 and part 2. Part 1 is covered at 40 km per hour and the total distance of part 1 is 120 km. Part 2 is covered at 60 km per hour and the total distance is 300 km. Now you have to find the average speed. Now what will be the answer for this? So what I will do, so the total distance 120 plus 300, 120 plus 300 is 420. Now what is the total time? If I cover 120 at 40 km per hour, time taken would be 3 hours. At 300 km at 60 speed, time taken would be 5 hours. So the total time would be 8 hours. Total distance is 420, total time is 8 hours. So average speed is 420 by 8, which is 52.5 km per hour. So average speed of the entire journey is 52.5 km per hour. So whenever you have to calculate the average speed of the journey, then you should know what part of the journey is given in the question. So they should give you some information about that part of the journey. Now try this question. In this, what is given? 1/3 of the total distance is covered at 40 km per hour and the remaining distance is covered at 60 km. Find the average speed of the entire journey. Find the average speed of the entire journey. Now here the speed is 40 km per hour. Here the speed is 60 km per hour. Distance is not given. If I assume LCM of 40 and 60, that is 120 km. 120 km and denominator is 3. So 120 into 3, that is 360. Let total distance is 360. I have assumed total distance to be 360. If total distance is 360 km, now 1/3 of the distance is 120 km. Remaining distance would be 240 km. To cover 120 km at 40 km per hour, time taken would be 3 hours. To cover 240 km at 60 km per hour, time taken is 4 hours. So total distance is 360, total time is 7. So 360 by 7, which is 51, 3 by 7 km per hour. 51, 3 by 7 km per hour is the average speed of the entire journey. 51, 3 by 7 km per hour. Is it okay to all? Any doubt to anyone in this part? Now, try this question. Now it is given the distance of part 1 is equal to the distance of part 2. Part 1 is covered at a speed of 40 km per hour. Part 2 is covered at a speed of 60 km per hour. You have to find the average speed of the entire journey. Find the average speed of the entire journey. Now distance is not given. If I assume distance to be LCM of 40 and 60, that is 120 km. Let part 1 is 120 km, part 2 is also 120 km. Now, the total distance is 120 plus 120, that is 240. Now, if a person cover 120 at a speed of 40 km per hour, time taken would be 3 hours. 120 km is covered at a speed of 60 km per hour, time taken would be 2 hours. So, total distance is 240 upon total time is 5 hours. 240 by 5, that is 48 km per hour. 48 km per hour. Answer is 48 km per hour. Answer for this is 48 km per hour. Now see, if the distance traveled at speed s1 is same as the distance traveled at speed s2, then there is a shortcut to calculate average speed. That average speed is 2s1 s2 upon s1 plus s2. Remember, the shortcut is not important. What is important? The condition. What is that condition? If a person traveled distance d at speed s1 and the same distance d at speed s2, then I can say that average speed is 2s1 s2 upon s1 plus s2. Okay. Now suppose if I say a person travels from A to B. A person travels from A to B at a speed of suppose 90 km per hour. And from B to A, he travels at a speed of 30 km. Now the distance from A to B is same as the distance from B to A. Now if the question is find the average speed of the entire journey. What is the average speed of the entire journey? 2 s1 s2 upon s1 plus s2. That is 1 2. If you solve this, that is 45 km per hour. So average speed is 45 km per hour. Average speed is 45 km per hour. So average speed is 45 km per hour. Now see this. This is one of the most common question which is asked in exam. A person travels from Delhi to Jaipur at a speed of 40 km per hour. Suppose this point is Delhi, this point is Jaipur. A person travels from Delhi to Jaipur at a speed of 40 km per hour. Then he travels from Jaipur to Delhi at a speed of 60 km per hour. Now the question is, what is the average speed of the entire journey? Now you know that the distance from Delhi to Jaipur is same as from Jaipur to Delhi. So the average speed is 2s1 s2 upon s1 plus s2. So you can solve this and you will get the answer as 48 km per hour. So what we have discussed in average speed is total distance upon total time. If for the distance d, the speed is s1, and for the same distance d, the speed is s2. So the average speed is 2s1 s2 upon s1 plus s2. Now, please all of you try this question. All of you try. By the time I'm just writing the data. In this question, it is given Arun travels 120 km at a speed of 60 km per hour. Okay. Now, if a person travels 120 km at 60 km per hour, time taken would be 2 hours. Then it is given, then for 1.5 hours, he travels at a speed of 40 km per hour. So distance is 40 into 1.5, that is 60 km. Now, let the time here is x hours. So speed is 80, time is x. So the total distance is 80x. So total distance is what? 180 plus 80x divided by total time. That is 3.5 plus x is equal to your average speed. What is average speed? 64. It is given to you in the question. So 180 plus 80x is equal to 64 into 7 by 2. That is 224 plus 64x. So from here you will get 16x as 44. Now the question is, what is the total distance? See, the total distance is this one. So what I can say, the distance is 180 plus 80x. Now 180 plus 80x can be written as 16x into 5. So 180 plus, this is 44 into 5, that is 220. So the total distance is 400 kilometers. The total distance is 400 kilometers. Is it clear to all? So this is the total distance. Now we will move to the next concept, that is relative speed. So what is relative speed? When we say relative speed, the word relative means with respect to somebody. With respect to somebody. So when I say relative speed, Relative speed means speed of one object with respect to another object. So speed of one object with respect to another object, that is called as relative speed. Okay. Now, if I say that this is point A, this is point B, and the distance between A and B is suppose 200 kilometers. A person starts from A in this direction at a speed of 60 km per hour. Another person travels in the same direction at a speed of 20 km. Now, if I ask you, after how many hours A will overtake B? Or after how many hours A will meet B? Or after how many hours A will catch up B? Basically, कितने टाइम बाद A और B मिलेंगे? तो अगर इस तरह का क्वेश्चन आता है तो सबसे पहले आप क्या करा करो, just write D. D is the distance between them, initial distance. This is the initial gap between them. D is the initial gap between them. Okay, that is 200 kilometers. S is the relative speed. Relative speed is what? Speed of one object with respect to another object. See, अब एक घंटे में A मूव करेगा 60 किलोमीटर, बट उस एक घंटे में B मूव करेगा 20 किलोमीटर. सो A को पता है जब मुझे B से मिलना तो I have to cover extra 200 किलोमीटर, बट वो गैप कितने से कवर हो रहा है? क्योंकि A ने एक घंटे में 60 चला, B ने 20 चले, तो गैप तो 40 से कवर हो. तो रिलेटिव स्पीड इज 40 किलोमीटर पर, क्योंकि दोनों लोग सेम डायरेक्शन में, जब दो लोग सेम डायरेक्शन में होते तो रिलेटिव स्पीड इज SA माइनस SB. तो यहां पर स्पीड जो हमने कैलकुलेट करी दैट इज SA माइनस SB बिकॉज दे आर इन द सेम डायरेक्शन. टाइम कैसे निकाले? डिस्टेंस अपॉन स्पीड. सो 200 by 40 दैट इज 5 आवर्स. कितना टाइम लगेगा? A को अगर B से मिलना है तो कितना टाइम लगेगा? 5 आवर्स. तो A विल टेक 5 आवर्स टू मीट B. अगर इसी क्वेश्चन में मैं आपको बोल देता कि सपोज A इस पॉइंट पे और B इस पॉइंट पे, A इधर जा रहा है एट अ स्पीड ऑफ 60 किलोमीटर पर आवर, B इधर जा रहा है एट अ स्पीड ऑफ 40 किलोमीटर पर आवर, एंड द डिस्टेंस बिटवीन देम इज 400 किलोमीटर. अब अगर क्वेश्चन पूछा जाए कितनी देर बाद मिलेंगे, तो D इज द डिस्टेंस बिटवीन देम, दैट इज द इनिशियल गैप. S इज द रिलेटिव स्पीड, क्योंकि ये एक घंटे में 60 चलेगा, ये एक घंटे में 40 चलेगा, तो गैप 100 से कम हो जाए. So relative speed is 100 because they are traveling in the opposite direction. So relative speed is SA plus SB. So time would be distance upon speed. That is 4 hours. Time would be 4 hours. So that is the time period. Now see, time जो आ गया that is 4 hours. Now आपको ये ध्यान रखना है, जब दो लोग सेम डायरेक्शन में होते हैं, relative speed is SA minus SB if they are traveling in the same direction. If they are traveling in the opposite direction, relative speed is SA plus SB. When they are traveling in the opposite direction, then relative speed is SA plus SB. If they are traveling in the same direction, it is SA minus SB. Now, just read the question, try to do this, then I will be discussing this. I'm giving you 1 minute for this question. Try this. What is given? The distance between the two cities A and B is 330 kilometers. A train starts from A at 8 a.m. and travels towards B at a speed of 60 kilometers. Another train starts from B at 9 a.m. and travels towards A at 75 kilometers. At what time do they meet? This is the question. Now see, the distance between A and B, is 330 kilometers. A train starts from A at 8 a.m. and is moving in this direction at a speed of 60 kilometers. Another train starts from B at 9 a.m. and moving in this direction at a speed of 75 km. Question is, at what time do they meet? Whenever you get this kind of question, what do you do? Their first step is make their time same. यहाँ से ट्रेन चल रही है 8 बजे, यहाँ से ट्रेन चल रही है 9 बजे. If I ask you at 9 a.m., what would be the scenario? So 9 a.m. एक घंटे में इस ट्रेन ने चल लिया होगा 60. So what I can say at 9 a.m. what would be the scenario? The distance between them, क्योंकि इसने 60 already cover कर लिया, so distance between them would be 270. Speed is your relative speed because they are traveling in the opposite direction. Speed is 135 km per hour. So that is the relative speed because they are traveling in the opposite direction. So relative speed is 135 km. So time is what? Distance upon speed. So 270 by 135, that is 2 hours. So that is 2 hours. So 9 बजे में 2 घंटे छोड़ दिए. Answer is 11. Answer is 11. तो 11 बजे वो एक दूसरे को मिलेंगे. तो आंसर इज 11. Is it okay to all? Answer is 11. Now see the next question. A train starts from Jaipur at 10 a.m. and reach Delhi at 3 p.m. Another train starts from Delhi at 11 a.m. and reach Jaipur at 6 p.m. Find the meeting time. Basically, at what time they will meet. Now see the same question. एक ट्रेन जयपुर से चल रही है at 10 a.m. Another one starts from Delhi at 11 a.m. जो 10 o'clock पे चल रही है, मैं ऐसे लिख देता हूं, that would be better. देखो, जो 10 AM पर चल रही है ट्रेन, जो इस डायरेक्शन में जा रही है जयपुर से दिल्ली की तरफ, वो यहां पहुंच रही है 3 PM. और जो दिल्ली से चल रही है एट 11 AM, वो यहां पहुंच रही है 6 PM. क्वेश्चन इज फाइंड देयर मीटिंग टाइम. अब इस क्वेश्चन और पिछले क्वेश्चन में थोड़ा सा डिफरेंस है. व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस? यहां पर कोई डिस्टेंस गिवन नहीं है. सो व्हाट वी कैन डू, वी कैन एज्यूम सम वैल्यू. सी, पहली ट्रेन को टाइम कितना लग रहा है? 10 AM से 3 PM, दैट इज 5 आवर्स. और दूसरी ट्रेन को जो टाइम लग रहा है दैट इज 7 आवर्स. अब डिस्टेंस हमें पता नहीं है, सो वी कैन एज्यूम डिस्टेंस एज सम नंबर. सो लेट द डिस्टेंस इज LCM of 5 and 7, that is 35 km. So we have assumed the distance to be 35 km. So if the distance is 35 kilometers, जिसको 5 घंटे लग रहे हैं, उसकी स्पीड कितनी आ जाएगी? 35 by 5, 35 by 5, that is 7 km पर. और जिसको 7 घंटे लग रहे हैं, उसकी स्पीड कितनी आ जाएगी? 5 km पर. नाउ सी, मैंने आपको बोला सबसे पहला काम हमने क्या करा, हमने डिस्टेंस को एक नंबर मान लिया विच इज LCM of 7 and 5, that is 35 km. इसकी स्पीड आ गई 7 km पर आवर, इधर स्पीड आ गई 5 km पर. ये 10 बजे चलिए 11 बजे, तो पहले 11 बजे तक सिनेरियो देखते हैं क्या है. एट 11 AM व्हाट इज द सिनेरियो? 10 बजे चली 11 बजे, ये सिनेरियो. 1 घंटे में कितना चली? 1 घंटे में कितना चली? 7. सो एट 11 AM व्हाट वुड बी द सिनेरियो? एट 11 AM व्हाट वुड बी द सिनेरियो? डिस्टेंस बिटवीन देम वुड बी व्हाट? 28. रिलेटिव स्पीड इज व्हाट? रिलेटिव स्पीड दोनों ऑपोजिट डायरेक्शन में, दैट इज 12 km per hour. So time is what? Distance upon speed. If you solve this, that is 2 hours 20 minutes. 2 hours 20 minutes will be added to 11 AM. 11 AM में add करा, so that is 120. 120. So answer is 120 PM. Answer is 120 PM. So answer for this is 120 PM. So at 120, they will meet. Is it okay to all? So we have covered average speed, we have covered relative speed, but I am doing one more question on relative speed. So please all of you read this question and try to do this. All of you try this. Now, what is given? A, B, C walk 1 kilometer in 5 minutes, 8 minutes, and 10 minutes. 1 kilometer is 1000 meters. 1000 meter divided by 5. So speed of A is 200 meter per minute. Similarly, speed of B is 125 meter per minute. Speed of C is 100 meter per minute. What is given in the question? C start walking from a point. Let the point as P. C start walking from a point P at a certain time. B starts from the same point 1 minute later than A. 1 minute later, and A starts from the same point 2 minutes later than C. सबसे पहले C ने चलना शुरू करा, B ने 1 मिनट बाद शुरू करा और A ने 2 मिनट बाद शुरू करा. So question is then A meets B and C after. तो दो क्वेश्चन है. पहला है A meets B. A meets B when? और सेकेंड पार्ट है A meets C when. अब देखो, सबसे पहले आपको पता है क्वेश्चन में गिवन है कि सबसे पहले स्टार्ट किसने करा? सी ने. सबसे पहले सी ने चलना शुरू करा. जब सी ने चलना शुरू करा, उसके 1 मिनट बाद बी ने चलना शुरू करा और उसके 2 मिनट बाद ए ने चलना शुरू. तो अगर मैं ए और बी को कंपेयर करता हूं तो दोनों में 1 मिनट का गैप. सो बी पहले चल रहा था, तो बी ने 1 मिनट में कितना कवर कर लिया होगा? 125. बी ने 125 कवर कर लिया होगा. अब जब बी ने 125 कवर कर लिया होगा तो ए को बी से मिलने के लिए 125 मीटर एक्स्ट्रा कवर कर, and the relative speed is 75. So time taken would be 125 by 75, which is 5 by 3 minutes. So A will meet B after 5 by 3 minutes. अगर ऑप्शन देखो A की ऑप्शन है तो 5 by 3 से शुरू हो रही, so वही आंसर. But we'll check for the second part also. Second part is A meets C after how many minutes? अब A और C में A 2 मिनट बाद चला, तो C ने 2 मिनट में 200 चल लिया हो, and the relative speed is what? 100. So A will meet C after 2 minutes. So for this answer is 5 by 3 minutes. For this answer is 2. Okay. So for today's session, we are discussing till this point only average speed and relative speed. In the next class or next session, I will start with boat and stream and trains. We will cover both the things in one session. Okay. So our next class would be on Thursday. So please cover up the previous sessions because arithmetic is going to be completed in this week. Okay. So this is all from my side. And if you want to join our paid batches, you can join our paid batches also, because in the paid batch, we cover almost 250% of what we do on YouTube. Okay. So this is all from my side. Thank you to all. Thank you to all.